I'm going to spend 5 minutes putting together the start of a HTML document. I hope that helps you guys start initiating your code. There was a few similarities when I looked at people's work today. So I hope these concepts kind of reach a broad section of you. Anyway, let's get started. I usually start my document with a div. A lot of your designs have a large feature module at the top of the page. Let's implement that. I'm going to target that feature module with some CSS. I'm going to start with the background image. I'm still going to start with width and height. Height is going to be 100% of the viewport height. And I'm going to put a background color so we can see what we're doing. Spell it correctly. So you can see that our feature module takes up the whole viewport height and width. I'm going to add a little bit of a reset to the margins and padding of every HTML item on the page, HTML element on the page. Should take away any of those little gaps that sometimes occur. So let's add a background color, a background image. I'm going to grab that from assets in CodePen, and these are Unsplash images. Going to look for something horizontal. This one here. Copy as background full, and so that will give us all the code that we need to insert that image as a background element, including the URL to the image, and you can see that it's done that there. Background size. I think background size set to cover. Typo. Excellent. So that's looking pretty good. Let's add, and we haven't even got any content in there yet. Let's add some content underneath that feature image, and I'm going to do that in kind of a series of div kind of modules. I'm going to call them content module. You can give your classes whatever names you see fit. And in each module, I'm going to have some content. H2. And paragraph of text. I'll just copy that a few times to now you'll see that I've got some content underneath there. I'm going to target this content module in my CSS. When we select classes, we add the period symbol and the name of the class. And our CSS rules. So that looks fine in a kind of a mobile viewport, but when we move out to a desktop viewpoint, I want this content to be constrained to a single column with margins on either side. So I'm going to set a max width of, you decide what width you want, and I'm going to set the margin to 0 at the top and bottom, and then auto left and right. And that'll constrain that to a column in the center, but when it gets below that, it will start wrapping. I'm going to add some padding. 20 pixels. Just give it a bit of space. That's looking good. So essentially our website is built. I'm going to copy and paste these content modules, and that'll give us some content going down the page like so. Awesome. A couple of bits and pieces that seem to be common across projects is like a floating element on this feature image, like a logo. How might we do that? Well, I'm going to add some content into that feature module. What's it going to be? You probably have an image for your logo, but in this instance I'm just going to have some text, and I might make it a H1, call it logo. Alright, and you can see that our logo is floating above that background image. Now let's position it, and we'll position it using, I'm going to position it using Flexbox. So I'm going to go display flex, and if I had multiple images, they would then, multiple elements inside my flex container, multiple flex items, they would wrap up next to each other, which is very useful. It allows me to justify content center. Yep, and align, if I align my items to center, hopefully that works. Oh yep, there we go. And our logo's right in the center there. I'm just gonna, just for the sake of it, change the color to white so that we can see it a bit easier. Awesome, got our logo in the center, and then our content underneath. Let's add a footer, and then that's probably enough to get you guys underway. May as well use the footer semantic HTML tag, so I don't need a class to tag that footer. By the way, feel free to use semantic tags instead of divs with classes. Totally up to you. You could use the section tag instead of a class with a class named content module. Footer is going to have some text, paragraph. It's just going to have my some copyright information. Okay. So footer. Let's select the footer in our CSS. Give it a background color. I was just trying to think of a color, but it didn't come to me. We'll go with grey. hashtag at the front. There we can see that I've got a little footer at the bottom. Let's give it some height. So add padding to beef it out a bit, maybe 50 pixels. And you can see that's a proper footer now. And if we simply text align to the center, we can get our content to align into the center there. So what have we achieved there? We've got a big background kind of feature module where you can overlay content over the top of that, things like logos and other, maybe some introductory text that spans the width and the full viewport height. Then we've made some content modules underneath there, and we've also added a footer to the base of our document there. So I hope that gets you started.